Hey Budget Fam, it's Jordan from Jordan Budgets. If you are a subscriber, if you're part of the Budget Fam, thank you so much for coming back for another video. If you are new around here, welcome. My name is Jordan. We love doing cash stuffings on this channel. We also talk about budgeting. I'm a single mom who makes all of my money on Etsy and YouTube, and I homeschool my boys. So sometimes we're a little bit off topic, but for the most part, we talk about getting our budget together and keeping our budget together. I'm very excited about today's video because this is something that I get asked a lot about, and I'm excited to make some videos specific to answering some of these questions. So today we're talking about zero-based budgeting, and please stay through to the end because we are going to break down a zero-based budget worksheet here together so you can see a zero-based budget in action. We're also going to talk about some different types of debt, some different types of savings, and how to account for all of these things in your budget. Before we get into it though, I do want to share a little disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor. I like to consider myself a finance encourager, a budget encourager, and things that are not considered in this budget breakdown that I'm about to share with you is health insurance and life insurance. Now you guys know that is very important topics, so don't skip over health insurance and life insurance. The reason I'm not considering it or chatting about it as we discuss a monthly budget and doing the zero-based budget method is because I'm kind of considering that your health insurance and your life insurance are probably taken out through your employer. Maybe you receive health insurance through the government, or your kids do at least. Like maybe you have a different situation. So we're not going to get too hung up on health insurance and life insurance because a lot of times for a lot of people that does get taken out before the money actually hits their bank account anyway. So wanted to mention it because you should consider it if you're not considering it. We're not going to consider it right now because I'm hoping you have those things figured out. If you don't feel bad. If you're new to my channel, you do not know that my health insurance is a hot mess right now, and so no judgment, but just did want to get that out of the way. We are not doing my actual budget. We are just creating a new budget to discuss these things, which brings me to another point. I don't want you guys to get too hung up on numbers, so I'm gonna say with a $3,000 income, our rent and our mortgage is $800. That is similar to what I was paying in my last apartment, but a lot of times when you share specific numbers like this, a lot of the comments are just saying, I could never find rent for that much in my area, okay? I completely understand that. Everybody's area is different, everybody's expenses and needs are different, so try not to get too hung up on the numbers, and let's focus on the principles of a zero-based budget. So when you're trying to create a zero-based budget, basically you're giving every single dollar that you make that enters your bank account, you are giving it a job. There's no free money floating around. There's no, oh, I made extra money this month because of this or that, so I have extra spending money. The idea is to give it a job every month or however often you play with your budget to make sure all of your money is being accounted for and you're paying the things that really matter to you, whether those be necessities or whether they be an upcoming trip. It can be, you know, all our budgets are different. All our needs and wants are different. We are just going to assume for the purposes of this budget that we make $3,000 per month. This is $3,000 coming into our bank account. So this is money we are actually getting. And for right now, let's assume we don't have a second income or third income. So our total income is $3,000. Knowing exactly how much is entering your bank account is definitely step one. You need to know what kind of money you have. And I feel like it sounds obvious, but when you're first starting budgeting, sometimes it does not feel as obvious. It just feels overwhelming. So let's quickly run through these numbers because the numbers, again, are not important. Some of these numbers are actual numbers that used to be my budget numbers, or some of them are my actual budget numbers, but again, let's try not to get hung up on it. We're gonna start by writing our bills and our monthly expenses. So starting with our bills, our roof over the head categories, let's assume that we pay $800 a month in rent, $120 in electric, we have a $50 water bill, a $20 gas bill for the house, our internet is $75, our phone bill is $25, our rent or housing insurance is $30, and then our car insurance per month is $60. So you might have a couple other categories that you can think of that you have. I don't currently have any other categories that are not listed here. Also under our monthly column, I'm gonna go ahead and write a couple of monthly expenses that are not necessarily bills. Like let's assume we have an $80 car payment, we have a $50 gymnastics fee for the kids, And then some of our automatic purchases total $120. You will notice there's two different colors in the font here. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video, but I do want to differentiate or explain this automatic. It is listed together here on this sheet, but if you have not yet done so, what I want you to do is go through your debit account, go through your credit card, go through anywhere that might be pulling automatic purchases. Like you might have Disney Plus, you might have subscription boxes coming off, you might have Apple fees because you have Apple products and you have some different apps or games. Go through and list all of those purchases out somewhere, delete or cancel any of those purchases that are no longer something that you really need, and try to get this automatic line down as cheap as you can. That is where I think in today's world a lot of us waste a lot of money because we don't even realize what's coming out. I should also say I just made this cute page just for the purposes of this video. If you just have a plain sheet of paper, that's all you need. Make an income line, and then a little lower down make a bills monthly section. I would maybe go ahead and make a monthly like non-bills section very close to that. Again, we'll talk about why we're kind of separating those out. And then let's move over to variable or weekly spending. So groceries and gas, again, you'll notice the different colors, but groceries, that's something that's kind of hard to get away from. Let's say we spend $400 every month on groceries, or about $100 a week. Gas for the car, let's say that we pay $120 for the month for gas for the car. Fast food, for this budget, we will do $200 per month, which is about $50 per week. Family fun, let's do $80 or $20 per week for family fun. Personal money, $80, and then miscellaneous. So I did talk about giving every single dollar a job, but I do give myself $5 to $10-ish per week for miscellaneous for when things pop up. Some might say that you're not really giving that money a job. If you are not very keen on that idea, I completely understand doing away with the miscellaneous line. I just like to do it because it's always nice to like find $5 extra in your purse. Maybe you want something from the vending machine or whatever. So I do kind of wiggle around a little bit with that miscellaneous line, right? Then we're going to move on to savings, debt, and other, which we're about to talk about a little bit more in detail. But just for this first sheet, let's say we want to prioritize emergency savings and debt. If you don't have any other savings, you might want to start focusing just on an emergency savings to start out with. If you guys watch my other videos, you know that I have binders because we do cash budgeting. I have binders full of different categories. That's basically what these cash binders are, is our different savings and our priorities there. So let's assume though for this budget we also have some debt, so we're gonna put $200 per debt, and then let's say we want to put $100 each towards our wants and our needs, which would go into savings categories. Okay, so I have my handy dandy calculator and I just totaled all of these things. Our bills monthly, that is $1,180 total. For our three categories down here that I'm still considering monthly, we spend $250. For our weekly or variable spending, we spend $900 per month. And then for our savings, debt, and other, we are putting away about $500 per month. Okay, so with our $3,000 hitting our bank account every single month, and then with all of these expenses, all of this savings that we've already accounted for, that puts us at $2,830. So we have $170 that is left over after we have paid all of our bills, paid all of our expenses here, and put money where we need it to go. So what we will do in a zero-based budget is we will not let this $170 be free money. Like, we're not going to say, oh, we're going to go shopping with that. We're not going to say it's a buffer in our account. We would decide what that $170 needs to go towards. Now, if you have consumer debt, I would recommend, again, just a financial encourager here, but I would recommend putting it towards debt to try to get that knocked out sooner. If you want to divide it between debt and then your emergency savings because that helps you feel motivated, go for it. Let's go ahead though and be responsible with this money. Let's say that $170 needs to go towards this debt until we knock it out. So we're gonna put $370 towards debt and then keep everything the same. As far as tracking your budget goes, that is gonna be a whole separate video if you need help with how to track and how to keep keep up with everything. This is going to be step one, though, in my opinion, is to create a monthly budget, do sort of an ideal situation, and then you're going to want to start tracking throughout the month to see how realistic all of this is, and then make adjustments as needed. So before we start talking about debt and savings, which is this category here, let's talk about why I've color coded a little bit. So it's really hard to get down your rent, electric, water, and gas bills. You can do it, but these bills are sort of roof over your head, keeping your life moving forward. Types of categories. I will say, if you do this budget and you find that, hey, I only take home $3,000 a month, but my expenses are $4,000 a month, what I would consider first, like, taking away from the budget is everything I have here in orange. So car payments, if you have a car payment and you're just way over, I would consider trying to sell that car and get a cheap car that doesn't have any payments on it. You might need to cancel gymnastics for a while. You might way narrow down your automatic purchases. I know that in the world we live in today, I don't know if anybody's living with no automatic purchases at this point in life. But again, so like the orange is just categories I would consider cutting or drastically changing first. So if you're really strapped, I would not do away with an emergency savings altogether, and I would not stop paying on debt, but I might take away from some of the savings categories that we're about to talk about. The only other thing I really want to mention is if, again, you are way over how much everything costs in comparison to your income, you might want to consider, again, drastically cutting everything, but then trying to create some extra income. I know it can be very hard and overwhelming. Believe me, like, go and have a good cry, but then come back and be ready and think about any kinds of part-time jobs you might be able to pick up if you have really just cut everything and there's just nothing left to cut. I understand everything is just really expensive right now. So realistically, you may do all of this and find you just need a part-time job or something to pick up some extra money. Okay, did I cover all the things? I think I covered all of the things here in our monthly budget. So again, zero-based budgeting is really taking all of your money, giving all of it a job, and making sure you're doing the best with what you have. Let's move on to talk just a little bit more about savings and debt, because I know I just put it in like one little section here, and it makes a very big difference in your budget. So debt is not something I'm going to talk too much about because, again, I am not a financial advisor and I would hate to mislead you in any way. But just giving, again, my personal opinions, credit card debt should absolutely be taken care of first, or with highest priority. Those tend to come with a lot of interest and a lot of fees. So I would look at any kind of credit card debt that you have. If you have multiple types of credit card debt, then I would advise sort of looking into seeing what is the best one to pay off first. I'm not going to give any advice on that, but just saying as a general statement, look into your paying off your credit card or consumer debt first. Next type of debt would be like student loans, housing loans, medical debt. Those sorts of things I would definitely put as a priority, but I don't see them as high of a priority or as big of a rush as credit card debt. Savings accounts. So if you have been around this channel, you know that we do a lot of savings challenges because we do cash budget on this channel, and we do a lot of savings talk. In my mind, savings categories can be broken up into priorities versus wants. These categories might change depending on who you are, but just to give you some ideas of different priority savings accounts for me versus wants, my priority accounts are savings accounts for emergency savings, getting 1 month ahead on my bills. So if for whatever reason I became behind on my bills, I would be able to pay those bills. Another savings account that I like to consider is back to school shopping for the kids. That can get very, very pricey. Same as Christmas and birthdays for the kids. It's kind of like once a year things that pop up but can be very stressful if you didn't start saving for it ahead of time. House savings, new car, new laptop, needs for the pets that might pop up, like some kind of a vet visit or something expensive. Vet visit was hard to say. Oh my gosh. Okay. Sports monies for the kids, because again, those pop up every once in a while, not every single month, but when they pop up, they're really expensive. So I like to create savings accounts for these different things, and I'm a cash budgeter. So by accounts, I mean I have categories. If this is your first video, definitely subscribe, check out the rest of the videos if cash budgeting and cash savings interests you. Emergency prepping is on a priority list for me, as well as new glasses for myself and my boy every year. Wedding is not a priority for me. I'm a single mom, but I figure for some of you that might be a big priority. And then yearly memberships. So those I would consider priorities, but some of you may consider some of those categories wants, like you might have a newer car, so that's not really a priority, but you just might be wanting to save for one in the future. Wants for me would be like a new laptop, going on a vacation, new books, new clothes, self-care, jewelry. I put 1 month ahead over here. I have no idea why. I think that was just a mistake. And then pantry stockpiling, books is twice. Wow, I got tired towards the end of this list, didn't I? And then the last one would be date night. Again, not for me, but for anybody that is a category for. It might be something that you want, but it's not necessarily needed, because you could do, you could not give up on date night, but you could do free or cheap things. So this is just a starting point for you. I wanted to give you some different savings accounts ideas. So the idea is that you would have an emergency savings, and then you might have a few categories, like you have a few things in mind. So for your want list, you might want to go on a vacation and you might want a new piece of jewelry. I would write those things specifically down. So when it comes time to save that money, be it cash budgeting or be it in a savings account, you know exactly what you're saving for. I always tell people, if you're new to creating these different kinds of savings account, to start with 5 to 6 categories. So emergency savings should definitely be one of those categories. For your wants, I would list out two different categories on a wants list, and again, looking different for everybody. And then a need list, I would pick out a couple things too. So for me, if I had to pick just a couple, I would say 1 month ahead and house savings might be my 2 priority needs, and then vacation and new clothes would be my wants, if I'm just picking 2 categories from each, and then also creating an emergency savings. This was fun. If you guys had fun, please let me know down below. Go ahead and subscribe if you have not subscribed. I do enjoy all of the budgeting videos. We have focused a lot on cash stuffing, but I do want to keep creating some videos like this where I'm answering some of the big questions, like how do you cash budget, which we've already done a video for that. It's one of my most popular videos. And then this, how to create a zero-based budget. I want to make a few more of these just to cover some of those big questions that a lot of people have. I had fun making this. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that you are excited to start your zero-based budgeting journey. Cash budgeting for me has been absolutely life-changing. I hope that you guys will start this journey if you have not, and I hope that you find that it does the same for you. As always, thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I appreciate you, and I will see you again on Friday. Bye-bye.